Hello Zyy'nai of planet Earth, my name is Zyy'nai, and in this episode we're going to be talking about pod powers for the Zyy'nai. Now, when we get into trying to understand ourselves, it's really good to think of yourself using kind of visualization techniques. And one we're going to be using here in this episode is to think of yourselves in the terms of a role-playing game, where you are a character within this game and you have a character sheet that has your stats and your abilities and your skills and your talents, and you add experience points to that, and then you level up as a heroic character. One of the most common motifs that you're going to see in RPGs is that your characters can start as being different species or different races. And this is kind of a good way, thinking of yourself as being different power species is kind of a good way of thinking of yourself in terms of an RPG. In most RPGs, they have the human act as just like a baseline of normalcy, and then you have other species that offset that balance in different ways. So like you'll have elves who maybe they're like faster and smarter than humans, but they're not as strong as humans or something, not as adaptable as humans. Or you'll have dwarves that are stronger, stouter, but they're not as quick, not as intelligent. Well, that's kind of how it works. We have the humans that are just in the middle. Now in reality, there actually is no such thing as just a baseline for normalcy. Humans are not that baseline, definitely not humans. Humans are actually a collection of specialty creatures in themselves. So the concept of a standard human is really just nothing more than a theoretical concept. So what you're going to be doing to compare other mojos together, these other kinds of heroic species, is going to be comparing them with each other instead of kind of comparing them with a baseline. So Zyy'nai have special gifts when related to other humans because of the way they're wired. So being a Zyy'nai is a very complex ship to fly, but the rewards are awesome. The powers that you get, the kinds of things you will learn to do with them are nearly limitless. But in order to get those powers, you need to know how to fly your ship so you can have these nearly limitless aspects to your character. Another concept from RPGs that we should get into is the multi-class character. Most RPGs, characters start with something called base classes. Usually these are the fighter or warrior, the wizard or mage, you have the rogue or thief, and then you have the priest or cleric. Well, each quadrant of the psyche you can think of as being one of these classes, and mojos have a preference for some classes over others. All humans are some variation of a fighter or pilot, a hunter or wizard, a gatherer or rogue, and a tower or priest. So all humans are multi-class characters that have these different classes in different hierarchical ratios. As a Zyy'nai, the kind of multi-class character you are is a logic pilot, a truth hunter, a real-world gatherer, and a healing tower. So now we can get into your pod powers. Z is your first or source power. Z is a pilot power, so the Zyy'nai are energized primarily by piloting logically to get optimum results. The source power character class for Zyy'nai is that of a logic pilot. Z is color-coded as gold, and this is why in videos such as this one and forthcoming Zyy'nai Temple videos and other videos that are associated with Z, you're going to see a lot of gold being used in the duotones. The energy infusion that Z gives you is a bracingness of spirit. There's a number of power flows that Z gives everyone in general, but the nature of these power flows are going to be unique based on what rank their Z is in and what other power it has a compound relationship with. So as a Zyy'nai, these power flows are going to be unique to you because you have Z as a source power and your Z shares a compound relationship with Nai. The power flows that Z gives are ambition and thirst for challenge, directness and efficiency, authoritativeness and decisiveness, assessing and strategizing, planning and organizing, scheduling and sequencing, protocol implementation and SOP enforcement, systemic logic and going for the win, straightforwardness and forcefulness, and systemic relationships and dynamics. Z does not just give the powers that it does to you, but also the other heroes that are in your adventuring party. So all of the people in your social alchemy bubbles will be getting bonuses from the energy that's emanating off of you. As you use your power of Z, it emanates from you in kind of an area of effect based on how strong you are natively, how developed you are, and how you're feeling, and how much you're actually flexing the Z power at the time. Different characters will get benefits from this more than others, but everyone around gets bonuses to their Z and their Zai powers based on you. When you're using your Z around other Z mojos, they will have their Z augmented. Then Zai gets inspired by Z, so other mojos that have Zai at all will be affected by your Z in the same way. But the higher up the Zai is on their hierarchy, then the more inspired they will be by your Z. So Zai mojos are being the most inspired by your Zai, and above all else, it is the Zyy'nai that is the most inspired by your Z. You could think of the Z that you have as being your superhero battery. It's always there, and it's always giving you more and more like an everlasting fountain of energy. The source power is literally the source of a hero's heroic flow. So for you, that source is Z. A special note about the SS index relationship is that Z is a power that's easily rewarded by the environment more than other powers. Some powers that Z can give is that with it, you can become a polished pro in anything you want. In addition, Z is always there to help you take care of business anytime you need to make decisive action or save the day. Nai is your second or tandem power. Nai is a hunter power, so the Zyy'nai are also energized by hunting for truth. The tandem power character class for a Zyy'nai is that of a truth hunter. Nai is color-coded as blue, which is why in the duotone coloring that you're going to see in this video and other Zyy'nai Temple videos and other videos associated with Nai, you're going to be seeing a lot of blue used. The energy infusion that Nai gives is a dissatisfaction of spirit. Nai gives certain power flows to all mojos in general, but these power flows are made unique depending on the hierarchical rank that the Nai is in and the power that it has a compound relationship with. In the case of a Zyy'nai, their Nai is in tandem position, so it's second ranked, and it shares a compound relationship with their Z. So power flows that the Zyy'nai gets from their Nai are detachment and call to imagine, conceptualization and envisioning, synthesis and synergy, inclusiveness and perspective shifting, meaningful insight and seeing the angles, speculation and prediction, global modeling and long-range planning, sense of destiny and visionary drive, independence of mind and secrecy, proactive theorizing and abductive reasoning. Nai benefits you as well as the other heroes in your adventuring party. So it's also going to emanate from you and give the other people in your bubble certain bonuses. Nai mojos are going to get an augmentation bonus from this. And Nai is inspiring to Ni mojos. So Ni mojos will be getting the most inspiration from this, and above all, it is the Zyy'nai that gets the most inspiration from your Nai. When you combine Nai with the Z of the Zyy'nai, then it makes for an epic story with a purpose, one that needs to continue on. That's how the rest of the powers come up to support the storyline, which is that of a logic pilot, truth hunter. Special note about the SS index relationship that Nai has is that Nai is going to be the most invisible, the most unknown to the environment around you. So when Nai is pulled off correctly, then you're going to get a really extreme magic bonus coming from it, because you're literally just taking unknown and then bam, and then turning into reality, just coming out of nowhere with it. But also there's going to be certain environmental penalties to pull off Nai moves because of how unscripted the nature of Nai is. An important note about Nai is the HSP. Because of the fact that a Nai mojo has V as a modulation power, this means the V stimulus that it's in the environment, if it's not conducive to their Nai simulator, then that stimulus is going to improperly modulate them. So this actually makes for a highly sensitive individual. Now, as a Zyy'nai, your HSP is not going to be as acute as it would be for a Nai Alpha. However, when in environments that have a lot of impinging stimulus, you are going to notice that there is a certain difficulty that comes with getting into accessing your Nai. Another special note about Nai is that it's the yinnest of the yang. meaning it's the most yin out of all of the directive powers. And this is because the way the Zyy'nai simulator works is that it's kind of unfolds for you in a direction where you don't actually know where it's going and you don't actually know where it's taking you and what it's going to look like when it finishes, or if it even does finish, if it finishes closing off the case. It kind of unfolds, it expands and begins kind of canvassing on its own. And wherever it lands, then that's where it lands. But this is also a very directive power, because once you actually get the truth from Zyy'nai, then it tells you straight away where you need to go, and that is the path laid out. V is your third or offside power. V is a gatherer power, so the Zyy'nai can gather real-world resources, but it's going to be energetically taxing for them to do so. The offside character class for the Zyy'nai is that of a real-world gatherer. V is color-coded as green, but you're not going to be seeing that much green in this video or other Zyy'nai Temple videos. You're going to mainly be seeing that green in the text, and this is because V is a modulation power, and modulation powers aren't actually used in the duotones that represent the Zyy'nai. The energy infusion that V gives is amped energy. V in general gives certain power flows to all mojos, but these power flows are going to be made unique depending on the hierarchical ranking that V is in and the power that it shares a compound relationship with. For you as a Zyy'nai, your V is offside, so it's third ranked and it has a compound relationship with your Zhy. The power flows that V gives are 5 senses and sensory stimulation, alertness and environment scanning, present-mindedness and being in the moment, visceral and hyperized experience, sensual and connoisseur experience, aesthetic and ecstatic experience, kinetic energy and galvanization, zest for life and exuberance, animal magnetism and stage presence, concrete reality and corporeality. Benefits not just you but also others in the group. So as you use your V, then it'll emanate out from you as an area of effect that will give bonuses to other people in your bubble. Other Zyy'nai mojos will be getting an augmentation bonus from your V, and your V will inspire the Vi of Ni mojos. However, out of all mojos, it is the Zainis Vi that is the most inspired by your V. Your V is offside V, so reaching V represents a point of maturing and specialization. So energetically conducive uses of V will come with fetishing. Your V will cost more energy points to use, and so those energy points must be spent wisely. A special note about the SS index relationship for V is that V, for you, it's going to be taxing to do because of the fact that it is a modulation power. Although V is deemed the standard by most memes, it's the most concrete, it's the most real power, so it's the most easily understood and grasped by the environment around you. So there's going to be an expectation for you to be able to turn around V very effortlessly and a lot. One of the powers that you can get from your V is going to be in Going Kensei. Going Kensei means becoming a sage-like specialist in certain literal crafts. So the V comes in where you actually take this into artistic and connoisseur-like experiences into actual visceral kinetic crafts. Another power that V can give are kinetic eruptions, and this is where you can take bullet time actions, just bullets move in the moment. Polar power is Zhy. Zhy is a tower power, and so the Zyy'nai can heal and purify, but it's going to be very taxing of energy for them to do so. The polar character class for the Zyy'nai is that of a healing tower. Zhy is color-coded as pink, but because of the fact that it's a modulation power, then you'll just see this pink used in the text for Zhy and not in the gold and blue duotone usage. The energy infusion that Zhy gives is a poignancy of spirit. There are power flows that Zhy gives all humans in general, but these power flows are made unique depending on the rank that their Zhy is in and the power that has a compound relationship with. So for you as a Zyy'nai, your Zhy is in polar or 4th ranked position, and it has a compound relationship with your V. So power flows that Zhy gives are hope and expectancy, idealism and sentiment, virtue and purity, gut reaction and acid testing, essence reading and attunement, empathy and communing, resonating and internalizing, conviction and investment, devotion and sacrifice, personal values and moral compass. Your Zyy'nai benefits not just you, but also other heroes in your adventuring party, and when you use it, then it's going to emanate out from you. And it is the other Z mojos that will be getting the most kind of an augmentation bonus from your Zyy'nai. And Zyy'nai users, they have Zhi. And it is the Zyy'nai user's Zhi that will be getting the most significant kind of inspiration from your Zyy'nai. However, above all, it is the Zyy'nai's Zhi that is going to be the most inspired by your Zyy'nai. For the Zyy'nai, Zhi is their polar power, and the polar power represents major modulation, which means there is going to be heavy keening and potential stress lock involved. And so reaching your Zyy'nai needs to be done through correct peak pathway. An important note that has to do with the fact that Zyy'nai is very high up in the SS index is that for you, it's modulation, but also Zyy'nai has an inherent lack of environmental validation. It's very difficult for people to actually note that it's there when it is, and understand why it's valid when it is. So this is important for you to be able to understand in yourself, because your Zyy'nai is actually a very important power, and it actually does need to be monitored. And when Zyy'nai is done right, then it can actually have a very profound impact on the environment and can give off healing bonuses to everyone. Zyy'nai, with the way that it flexes and resonates, can actually put the Zyy'nai user in a vulnerable position, one that is vulnerable to impingement. Although it is this vulnerability that is actually a power, because the sensitivity that it kind of gives one sensitive to impingement is actually a necessary sensitivity. And when you have that, then it can allow you to empathize with others, or internalize, or purify oneself. So one of the powers that your Zyy'nai gives to you as a Zyy'nai is that of a soulful furnace, because like a furnace, then your Zyy'nai is going to be something that kind of burns for you and allows you to push forward stronger and more sturdily with greater passion and with greater moral purity that you are in the right for doing so. Now the question with all the powers is how they can be used to make the Zyy'nai story as heroic and productive as possible. Whenever you line them up, you will find that your powers of Z, Nai, B, and Zyy'nai will work at their maximum potential. They will work together and they'll give you everything you need to be the ultimate hero of your own personal story. So now that you know a bit more about your powers in this RPG game, you can start to see them as the various abilities on your character sheet, the amount of energy that you have to do various things in your life. Then the development of your character is taking these abilities to new levels, so you can do new maneuvers and combine them in different ways that you didn't know that you could. And also combine them in ways that are heroically productive with other people in different social alchemy groups. You have now been given your entry into the greatest game ever, the HRL RPG, Heroic Real Life Role-Playing Game. You now know what your character is, so now you can start to level up, and so you can be the best that you can be and go on heroic adventures to help save the world. Know yourself, grow yourself, save the world.